4:30 a.m. My alarm doesn't need to go off anymore because my body knows. My body knows it's time to start cooking for a man who won't even look at me. Scrambled eggs the way Liam likes them, slightly runny. Turkey bacon, crispy but not burnt. Wheat toast, buttered on one side. Orange juice, no pulp. The kitchen always smells like a life I ruined. Warm eggs, butter on toast, that sharp citrus that used to mean good morning instead of please love me again. I know every detail of what he wants because for 2 years I paid attention to everything about him, everything except what mattered most. Staying faithful. The Kansas City morning air bites at my face as I drive the 15 minutes from my apartment to his house. The same route I've taken every single day for 3 months. 3 months since Olivia sent him that video from Garrett's party. 3 months since I destroyed everything for 20 minutes in a stranger's bedroom. 3 months of leaving perfectly prepared meals at his doorstep, like some pathetic ghost trying to haunt my way back into his life. I set the containers on his porch, ring the doorbell once, and hurry back to my car. I've learned to park down the street now, out of sight. The first few weeks I'd wait, hoping he'd open the door, hoping we could talk. But Liam never opens the door while I'm there. He waits until my car disappears, then takes the food inside I know because I've driven around the block and watched. He takes it. He eats it. But he never acknowledges me. My therapist says this is unhealthy. My mother says I'm degrading myself. My remaining friends, the ones who weren't at that party, say I need to move on. But they don't understand. They don't know what it's like to have someone like Liam look at you like you're everything, then watch that look die because you killed it. They don't know what it's like to be haunted by your own choices, to replay that night over and over, wondering why you threw away the best thing in your life for less than nothing. But I know you want to understand. You want to know how someone who had everything could destroy it all. So let me tell you the whole pathetic story of how Jessica Coleman became the girl who cooks breakfast for her ex-boyfriend every morning, knowing he'll never take her back. Liam and I met at a mutual friend's housewarming party. I was fresh out of college, working at a marketing firm downtown, convinced I was hot stuff in my pencil skirts and designer heels. He was the quiet one in the corner, talking to our host about some coding project, wearing a Star Wars t-shirt to a cocktail party like he didn't care what anyone thought. "You know this is a party, right?" I'd said, handing him a beer. "Not Comic-Con." He'd looked at me with these green eyes that seemed to see right through my carefully constructed party girl persona. "You know talking to strangers is optional, right? Not mandatory." Something about his confidence, the way he didn't immediately fall all over himself when I approached, intrigued me. I was used to guys who peacocked, who tried to impress me with their cars or their jobs or their connections. Liam just stood there, comfortable in his skin and his nerdy shirt, waiting to see if I had anything interesting to say beyond my opening snark. "I'm Jessica," I'd said, dropping the attitude. "Liam. And for the record, this shirt is vintage, worth more than those shoes you're wearing." "These are Louboutins." "Those are uncomfortable. I can tell by the way you keep shifting your weight." He was right. My feet were killing me, but I'd worn them because they made my legs look incredible, and looking incredible was more important than feeling good. That probably should have been my first warning sign about myself. I've always prioritized appearances over substance. We talked for 3 hours that night. He told me about his job as a software developer, his side project creating apps for nonprofits, his obsession with building computers from scratch. I told him about my marketing campaigns, my yoga classes, my plans to travel to Europe. Normal first conversation stuff, except it didn't feel normal. It felt like finding someone who spoke a language I didn't know I'd been waiting to hear. Our first official date was mini golf. Not dinner at some fancy restaurant, not drinks at a trendy bar, mini golf. Because Liam said first dates should be fun, not interviews, and he wanted to see if I was a sore loser. I was. I threw my putter when I couldn't get past the windmill. "Competitive," he'd observed, retrieving my club. "Good to know." "I like to win." Everyone likes to win. Not everyone acts like a toddler when they don't. I should have been offended. Instead, I laughed. Real laughter, not the practiced giggle I used on most dates. Liam had this way of calling me out without making me feel small, of seeing my flaws and finding them amusing rather than deal-breaking. We were official within a month. I practically lived at his place within 6. My toothbrush moved into his bathroom, my clothes took over half his closet, my yogurt and salads crowded out his energy drinks and frozen pizzas. He'd joke that I was civilizing him, but really he was the one changing me, or at least I thought he was. With Liam, I felt like I could be myself. The real Jessica, not the polished image I presented to the world. He didn't care if I wore sweats all weekend, didn't judge me for eating ice cream straight from the container during my period, didn't get jealous when guys hit on me at bars because he trusted me completely. "You know Chad was flirting with you, right?" he'd said after a friend's birthday party. Was he? I didn't notice. Liar. You noticed. You just didn't care because you're with me. Exactly. So why bring it up? Because I like knowing other guys want what I have, and I love knowing you choose me anyway. Choose him. Like it was a choice. Like there was any universe where some guy named Chad could compete with Liam's steady presence, his quick wit, his hands that built things and fixed things and held me like I was precious. I told him I loved him first. 3 months in, during a power outage, sitting on his kitchen counter eating melted ice cream by candlelight. "I love you," I'd blurted out, then immediately panicked. I mean, I love this, being here with you during outages, and other times too, Jessica. Yeah? I love you too. Simple, direct. No games, no making me sweat, no power plays. Just truth, delivered like everything else Liam said, with complete certainty. We were good together. Everyone said so. His friends, who initially treated me with suspicion because I was too hot for their nerdy crew, eventually welcomed me into their game nights and coding competitions. My friends, who thought Liam was boring because he didn't care about bottle service or Instagram followers, admitted he was good for me, made me calmer, more grounded, less concerned with surface-level bullshit. Even our families approved. His mom taught me her secret chili recipe. My dad, who'd hated every boyfriend I'd ever brought home, actually asked Liam for computer advice. We spent holidays together, planned vacations together, talked about the future like it was a given we'd be in it together. "When we get married," Liam would say, casual as anything. "Not if, when." "Bold of you to assume I'll say yes," I'd tease. "You'll say yes. You love my mom's cooking too much to give up family dinners." He was right. I would have said yes. To marriage, to kids, to growing old in matching rocking chairs, to any future that included him, which makes what I did even more unforgivable. The party was at Garrett's house, some guy from my yoga class who always made inappropriate comments about my flexibility. I should have skipped it. Liam was working late on a project deadline, told me to go without him, have fun with my friends. "You sure?" I'd asked, already in my party dress. "Babe, just because I'm stuck debugging doesn't mean you should suffer. Go, dance, drink responsibly, text me if you need a ride." He trusted me, completely, without question. And I took that trust and lit it on fire for reasons I still can't fully explain. The party was typical 20-something nonsense. Too loud music, too strong drinks, too many people crammed into a space meant for half the crowd I knew, maybe a third of the people there, mostly from yoga or through mutual friends. I was catching up with Stephanie when I saw him. I don't even remember his name. Isn't that pathetic? I destroyed my relationship for a man whose name I can't remember. Tall, dark hair, good smile, the kind of guy I used to date before Liam. Smooth talker, obvious player. Probably had a girlfriend somewhere who trusted him like Liam trusted me. He approached me at the kitchen island where I was refilling my drink, made some comment about my dress. I should have walked away. Should have mentioned my boyfriend, should have done literally anything other than smile and let him pour me another vodka tonic. "I'm Marcus," he said. Or maybe it was Martin or Mark? I honestly cannot remember. which makes the whole thing even more pathetic. Jessica, you come to Garrett's parties often? First time. Probably the last. Why's that? Because I have a boyfriend at home who's working hard to build a future for us. Because I don't need to be at parties with strangers when I have everything I want waiting for me. Because something about this conversation already feels like a betrayal. But I didn't say any of that. Instead, I said, "These aren't really my scene anymore." Anymore? Reformed party girl? Something like that. That's a shame. I bet you were fun. Was? Past tense. Like fun was something I'd given up instead of something I'd evolved past. And somehow that triggered something in me. This need to prove I was still that girl, still desirable, still capable of making bad decisions. I'm still fun, I heard myself say. Prove it. 2 words. That's all it took. 2 words from a stranger, and I threw away 2 years with the best man I've ever known. I wish I could blame the alcohol. I'd had 3 drinks, maybe 4. Enough to lower inhibitions, but not enough to claim blackout. I wish I could blame him, say he was aggressive or manipulative, but he wasn't. He was just there, interested, making me feel like the party girl I used to be instead of the girlfriend I'd become. We went upstairs, found an empty bedroom, and for 20 minutes, I wasn't Liam's girlfriend. I wasn't the reformed party girl who'd found something real. I was just Jessica, making choices that felt good in the moment and would destroy everything after. I knew it was wrong while it was happening. Some part of my brain screamed at me to stop, to think about Liam, to remember what I was risking. But I shut that voice down. Told myself it didn't mean anything. Told myself what he didn't know wouldn't hurt him. Told myself all the lies cheaters tell themselves to justify the unjustifiable. After, I felt nothing. Not guilt, not satisfaction, not anything. Just empty. Like I'd scratched an itch that hadn't actually been bothering me, and now my skin was raw for no reason. Marcus or whatever wanted my number. I left without giving it to him. Went to the bathroom to fix my makeup, and that's when I saw Olivia. "Jessica! Oh my God, I've been looking for you everywhere. Did you see what happened with Garrett and—" She stopped mid-sentence, looking at me. Really looking at me. And I knew she knew. Something in my face, my messed up hair despite my attempts to fix it, the hickey I hadn't noticed on my neck, she knew. "Jess," she said slowly, "what did you do?" "Nothing, I saw you go upstairs with that guy." My heart stopped. "Olivia, please, it was nothing, a mistake, please don't—" But she was already pulling out her phone, scrolling through something. And that's when I realized the full horror of what had happened. She hadn't just seen me go upstairs. She'd recorded earlier, when Marcus and I were kissing by the kitchen island. I hadn't even noticed her there. Hadn't thought about who might be watching. Hadn't considered that in the age of smartphones, every mistake is potentially permanent. "I can't believe you," she said, and the disgust in her voice made me want to disappear. "Liam loves you. He's the best guy ever, and you're up here screwing random dudes?" "Olivia, please, let me explain." "Explain what? That you're a cheating whore?" The word hit like a slap. But what could I say? She wasn't wrong. In that moment, that's exactly what I was. "Please don't tell him," I begged. "I'll do it. I'll tell him myself, just please." "You should have thought about that before you decided to cheat on him at a party full of people with cameras." She left me standing there in the bathroom, mascara running, hickey blooming purple on my neck like a scarlet letter. I knew she was going to tell him, knew I had maybe hours before my life imploded. Part of me wanted to run, pack my things and disappear before I had to face what I'd done, but I owed Liam the truth. Or at least, I owed him the chance to hear it from me first. I drove to his apartment at 2 a.m, used my key one last time. Found him passed out at his computer, code still on the screen, empty energy drink cans forming a fortress around his workspace. He looked so peaceful, so trusting, sleeping soundly because he had no reason to suspect his world was about to shatter. I sat on the couch and waited for him to wake up, practiced what I would say, how I would explain. What possible words could make this make sense? But when his phone buzzed at 6 a.m. and I saw Olivia's name on the screen, I knew I'd run out of time. He watched the video in silence. 30 seconds of me kissing another man, giggling as he whispered something in my ear, letting him lead me toward the stairs. 30 seconds that undid 24 months. "Is this real?" he asked, voice steady in that scary way that meant he was processing, calculating, trying to make sense of data that didn't compute. "Liam, I can explain."
"Is this real?"
"Yes." He nodded, set his phone down carefully, stood up and walked to the kitchen. I followed, watched him pour coffee with hands that didn't shake, add cream and sugar like this was any other morning. "Liam, please, talk to me. Yell at me. Something." "Did you sleep with him?" The question was quiet, clinical, like he was debugging code, not ending our relationship. "Yes." Another nod, another sip of coffee. I wanted him to throw the mug, wanted him to scream, to call me names, to give me the dramatic confrontation I probably deserved. Instead, he just looked tired. "Why?" he asked finally. "I don't know." "You don't know." He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You destroyed us for someone you don't even know why you fucked?" Hearing him say it like that, so blunt and ugly, made me flinch. It didn't mean anything. No, it meant everything. It meant you don't love me. It meant you don't respect me. It meant every time you said you were different from other girls, you were lying. "That's not true. I do love you. I love you more than anything." "People don't hurt the people they love, Jessica. Not like this." He was so calm, so rational. Discussing the end of us like it was inevitable. Like he'd been waiting for me to show my true colors. And maybe he had. Maybe some part of him always knew I was too selfish, too vain, too everything wrong to deserve someone like him. "My dad cheated on my mom," he said, staring into his coffee. "Destroyed our family. I told you that. Told you how it ruined my ability to trust, how long it took me to believe someone could be faithful." "I know. God, Liam, I know, and I'm so... I told you about my ex, how she cheated, how it took therapy to get past it. You knew all of this. You knew exactly what this would do to me, and you did it anyway." "I wasn't thinking." "No, you were thinking. You just didn't care. Not about me, not about us, not about anything but what you wanted in that moment." He was right. In that moment, I hadn't thought about his trauma, his trust issues, his heart. I'd only thought about myself, like I always did, underneath all my pretenses of change. "Pack your things," he said quietly. "Leave your key. Don't contact me again." "Liam, please, we can work through this. Couples therapy or..." "We're not a couple anymore. You ended that when you chose to fuck someone else." The profanity startled me. Liam rarely swore, saved it for code that wouldn't compile or traffic that made him late. Hearing him use it about me, about us, drove home how badly I'd broken something in him. I packed in silence. 2 years of accumulated belongings shoved into garbage bags while he sat at his computer, back to me, typing like I was already gone. When I finished, I stood in the doorway, key in my hand, trying to find words that might change something. "I know you hate me," I said. "But I need you to know that what we had was real. You made me better, made me want to be better. I failed." "You didn't fail, Jessica. You chose, and now I'm choosing too." I left the key on the counter and drove home through morning traffic, tears making everything blurry. Called in sick to work and spent the day in bed, phone in hand, waiting for him to text to call, to give me some sign that this wasn't really over. Nothing came. By evening, I was desperate enough to go back. Stood outside his apartment, buzzing the intercom, begging through the speaker. "Liam, please, just 5 minutes. Let me explain. Let me apologize properly. Let me..." "Go home, Jessica." "Not until we talk." "Then I'm calling the police." He would, too. I knew he would. Liam didn't make idle threats, so I left. But I came back the next morning with coffee and bagels from his favorite place, left them at his door with a note. "I'm sorry. I love you. Please." He didn't respond, but the food was gone when I drove by later. So I did it again the next day, and the next. Breakfast became my penance, my ritual, my desperate attempt to show him I could be consistent, reliable, trustworthy, even though I'd proven the opposite when it mattered most. After a week of breakfasts, I tried a different approach. Showed up when I knew he'd be home, knocked instead of using the buzzer. "Jessica, stop. Please, just listen. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But what we have is worth fighting for." Had what we had, and you're the one who stopped fighting for it the second you let another man touch you. It was one mistake. No, it was a series of choices. You chose to flirt, chose to kiss him, chose to go upstairs, chose to fuck him, chose to lie about it until you got caught. Each one a separate, deliberate decision to betray me. His clinical breakdown of my betrayal hurt more than any emotional outburst could have. He'd analyzed my actions like bad code, found all the bugs in my character. "I want to fix this," I said. "Tell me how to fix this." "You can't. Some things can't be debugged, Jessica. Sometimes you have to scrap the whole program and start over." "Then let's start over. Clean slate. I'll do whatever it takes."
I'm already starting over without you.
He said it like a fact, not a threat, like the decision had been made long before I even knocked. He closed the door, gently, which somehow hurt more than if he'd slammed it. I sat on his porch for an hour, hoping he'd change his mind, but he never opened it again. That's when the real campaign began. If he wouldn't talk to me, I'd show him. Actions over words. Proof that I could change, had changed, would never hurt him again. I deleted every male contact from my phone except family, unfollowed every guy on social media, cut off the friends who'd been at the party, the ones who'd enabled my bad behavior, or at least hadn't stopped it. Posted publicly about my mistake, my commitment to growth, my love for Liam. Humiliated myself in front of everyone we knew, hoping public accountability might mean something. It didn't. Liam didn't have social media, didn't care about public perception. He cared about trust, and I'd broken his. So I escalated, started the daily breakfast deliveries, leaving them early enough that he couldn't refuse them without seeing me. Lunch, too, on days when I could get away from work dinners on weekends. All his favorites, cooked exactly how he liked them, delivered with notes professing my love, my regret, my desperate hope for another chance. "You need to stop," my friend Aria said after 2 months of this. "You're stalking him." "I'm showing him I care." "You're showing him you can't respect boundaries, just like you couldn't respect your relationship." But I couldn't stop. Stopping meant accepting it was really over. Meant admitting I'd destroyed the best thing in my life for 20 meaningless minutes with a stranger whose name I couldn't remember. Meant facing who I really was without Liam's love to make me feel worthy. My mom tried intervention next. Showed up at my apartment, found me meal prepping for the week's deliveries. "Sweetheart, this isn't healthy." "Since when do you care about healthy? You stayed with Dad through 3 affairs. And look how that turned out. 30 years of misery because I couldn't let go." "This is different. Liam's different. He just needs time to remember what we had." "What you had is gone, baby. You killed it. And this?" She gestured at the Tupperware containers filled with his favorite foods. "This is just undignified." "I don't care about dignity. I care about him." "If you really cared about him, you'd respect his wishes and leave him alone." Dignity didn't keep me warm at night. His silence did. But I couldn't explain that to her. Couldn't make her understand how even his rejection felt better than nothing at all. I couldn't stop. I'd become addicted to the ritual. Wake up, cook, deliver, hope. Even though he never acknowledged me, even though mutual friends told me he was moving on, focusing on work, seeming happier without me, even though I knew deep down that I was fighting a war I'd already lost. 3 months now. 97 breakfasts, 43 lunches, 26 dinners. Thousands of dollars spent on ingredients for food I never see him eat. Hours of sleep lost to early morning cooking, all for a man who won't even look at me. "Why do you keep doing this?" my therapist asks every session. "Because I love him." Is this love, or is it guilt, obsession, an inability to accept consequences? All of the above, probably. But if I admit that, then I have to admit he's never coming back. And I'm not strong enough for that yet, because admitting that means admitting it's really over. Means accepting that I'm exactly who Liam thinks I am. Selfish, untrustworthy, incapable of real love. Because someone who really loved him wouldn't have cheated, wouldn't have thrown away his trust for a meaningless hookup, wouldn't be harassing him with unwanted meals instead of respecting his need for space. But I can't stop. Tomorrow I'll wake up at 4:30. I'll make his breakfast. I'll drive to his house. I'll leave it on his porch and run away like the coward I am. Because that's all I have left. This pantomime of caring. This desperate hope that someday he'll open the door while I'm there. That he'll see I've changed. That he'll forgive me. He won't. I know he won't. Liam doesn't give second chances to cheaters. He told me that on our third date, when we were sharing deal breakers. "Cheating," he'd said. "Once that trust is broken, it can never be rebuilt. Not for me." "Good thing I'd never cheat then," I'd replied, so confident in my own fidelity. He'd smiled, kissed me, believed me. Why wouldn't he? I believed myself. Thought I was better than those girls who betrayed good men. Thought I was worthy of someone like Liam. Turns out I was exactly like those girls. Worse, maybe, because I knew his history. Knew his triggers. Knew exactly how much damage I'd do, and I did it anyway. For what? A forgettable fuck with a forgettable man at a forgettable party. My phone buzzes. Unknown number. For a wild moment, I think it might be Liam, reaching out from a new phone, ready to talk. But it's just spam, always spam. He's never going to call, never going to text, never going to forgive me. But I'll still wake up tomorrow at 4:30. I'll still make his breakfast. I'll still drive to his house in the dark. Still leave my pathetic offering on his porch like a prayer to a God who's stopped listening. Because that's what I do now. That's who I am. The ex-girlfriend who can't let go. Who can't accept that some mistakes can't be fixed with food and persistence and public humiliation. Liam was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I was the worst thing that ever happened to him. He's moving on, building a life without me. Probably grateful every day that he discovered who I really was before he made the mistake of marrying me. And I'm here, stuck in a loop of my own making, cooking for a ghost who was smart enough to disappear. Tomorrow will be breakfast number 98. Scrambled eggs, slightly runny. Turkey bacon, crispy, but not burnt. Wheat toast, buttered on one side. Orange juice, no pulp. Perfect, like our relationship never was. Consistent, like I never was. Dependable, like I proved I could never be. He'll take it inside after I leave. Eat it or throw it away, I don't know which. But he'll never thank me. Never acknowledge me. Never give me the forgiveness I don't deserve but can't stop seeking. Because that's the thing about breaking someone's trust. They don't owe you closure. Don't owe you a second chance. Don't owe you anything but the silence you earned with your betrayal. And all the breakfasts in the world won't change that. All the apologies, all the promises, all the desperate acts of a desperate woman who realized too late what she'd lost. I had everything. A man who loved me, trusted me, wanted to build a future with me. And I threw it away for nothing. For less than nothing. For 20 minutes that I barely remember with a man whose name I never knew. That's my story, that's my confession, that's my pathetic reality. And tomorrow I'll wake up at 4:30 and do it all over again. Because that's what I do now. Cook for a man who will never take me back. Hope for forgiveness that will never come. Live with the consequences of the worst decision I ever made. The decision that proved I was exactly as worthless as I always feared I was. The decision that cost me the only person who ever made me believe I might be worth something more. Liam was right to leave. right to cut me off, right to treat me like the stranger I became the moment I let another man touch what was his. I just wish I'd been smart enough to see what I had before I destroyed it. Smart enough to be the woman he thought I was, instead of the woman I turned out to be. Smart enough to choose him the way he always chose me. Until he didn't. Until he couldn't. Until I made it impossible for him to see me as anything but the cheater I'll always be. Breakfast number 98 tomorrow, then 99, then 100, then however many more until I finally accept what he knew the moment he watched that video. That some mistakes can't be undone. Some trust can't be rebuilt. Some loves can't be saved. No matter how many perfect breakfasts you leave on their porch in the dark, some wounds don't close just because the person you hurt learned how to walk away. And the worst part is knowing he healed. And I never will.